95% of traders are selling their crypto in a panic right now, including Solana, Bitcoin, and all their alts. But here is exactly where I think Solana's price is headed, along with Bitcoin and the overall market over the next year, and a few indicators that can help you determine when to buy and when to sell. Let's take a look. All right, so here is an overall prediction of where we are headed in the market. This is based on Bitcoin's price. A lot of people are worried about Solana here and it tanking down to, what are we at, 130 bucks from a high of 270. I do believe the market will still go up throughout 2025 here and maybe hit the high at 2026, early 2027. It's funny because I remember this exact point the last cycle, probably about 4 or 5 years ago now. But my dad, he trades stocks and he's been trading since he was 30, so 25 years now. But he told me I had Ethereum and I was iffy about it. Should I sell it? Should I just keep it and hold on? I bought it at 400 bucks or 300, 400 bucks, somewhere around there. I held it for a year and it shot up to that 3,500, 4,000 area. And I think this was like November of 21, maybe 22. I don't even remember. It's probably 21. And he was like, no, sell now. And it was around this exact same time. It was like springtime, I remember. And so I ended up not selling. I was just like, yeah, whatever. It'll probably still go up. I wasn't paying close attention to the market, I would say, during that time. I was learning other stuff and whatever I was doing. But it did end up going up higher. And that was when Bitcoin, I think, first hit, what was it? Yeah, that 70,000 range. So it was 21. I was right. Okay. Yeah, it was right around here because he told me to sell right around here at springtime. I'm talking about Ethereum here. And it tanked all the way down. And I was so upset in the summer because I thought it was over. But it had another big push up right here in November of 21. So I do think we still have another run here. You're going to see these big candles just like this. And you're seeing them right now. If we look at Bitcoin first before we get to Solana's price, I do believe we're in a Elliott Wave here. So we're on the 5th wave. And you'll usually see, and this is the weekly time frame here. So you're usually going to see some sort of correction on the 5th wave. Either it's going to resist and maybe go sideways, or maybe it'll do A, B, C down further. This is the big resistance zone I am looking at for Bitcoin here. So we have this huge area, right? And there's resistance here, there's resistance here, this is all this resistance right here. So if we actually take our fib here, and I already drew lines out here, and I'm just taking it from this bottom. I'm not going all the way down here, but if we went down here, let's just see. We'll see that 0.618 is matching up with this bottom here, and there's a lot of resistance around that 0.5, around 62,000. So I do have this point marked out. I usually like to take my fib top to bottom just so we can see possible profit levels in the future. And this might be way far out. But we can see here, the 0.382 is around 72,000 right with this resistance area here. And we have this fair value gap. So this is a big area I'm looking at. We also do have a big fair value gap right down here. It could go all the way down there, but there's just a lot of resistance to get through on this level. Well, it could do like a halfway point like we saw in that 0.5. Let's go back here. And if we take the fib the correct direction here, we'll notice this 0.618 lines up perfectly with that 0.382, and that's usually a mark I like to hit when I'm trading to get that extra push up to lock in some extra profits. Granted, we're on the weekly time frame. I'm usually trading like a minute or something, but all this applies to the same stuff. So see here, 0.382, 72,000. I really like this resistance area, especially because of these candles, this candle. So you can see all of that there. We can do the same for Sol. And actually, before we get into that, let's look at Bitcoin dominance here. So what is Bitcoin dominance? And I'm just going to pull up a few charts just to reinstate this. But here with Bitcoin dominance, and you can pull this up in TradingView if you just type in dominance. Bitcoin dominance, when that goes up and Bitcoin's price is going up, alts are going to move down. Okay, so right now we have Bitcoin dominance going up, Bitcoin prices going down, so alts are going to go down, like Solana and ETH and basically all the alts you're seeing right now. So this is the mark we are currently at. Now, when this hits a resistance level, you gotta think we have resistance in here. I'll just draw a box around these, but got some resistance right here. So this could be a heavy resistance level. So we can also draw some trend lines on Bitcoin dominance here. Just mark this zone. So we hit a double top here before, and that's where we saw that huge drop downward. You can also look at the MACD and RSI combo I have going here. We do have a divergence right here. So this could come back down. Maybe it'll hit a top up here. We also have kind of this channel going for us. As you'll see, it's keeping closely in line with this channel. Will it go all the way up here? I don't know, that'd be pretty high, but we will see. But I do want you guys to keep in mind this. Look at the Bitcoin dominance, look at where Bitcoin price is headed, and that's what's pretty much going to happen with alts here. So that's what we're seeing right now. Now, if we see Bitcoin dominance start to go down in that direction, maybe it hits like a triple top that we saw, and Bitcoin price starts to go back up, we can see SOL price to move back up. The other thing I wanted to cover really quick was the fear index. So I believe this is like the lowest point we ever been besides this point here, which was at 54,000. So this would be an accumulation period, I would say, since we are this low and that people are this fearful. You want to be selling in the greed part and buying in the fear areas. It's going to be opposite of your emotions, as we know. So you're going to be like, I'm not buying now. Everyone's slamming it. Everyone's saying it sucks, whatever. But yeah, pay attention to this. When it dips at this fear level, you'll notice starts to slowly come back up. And this is where you want to be selling these green areas here, greed or extreme greed. Fearful's where you want to be buying. So pay attention to that as well. This is just on CoinMarketCap. Now, if we go ahead and look at SOL here, so like I said, I'd be looking at the 70,000 mark possibly for Bitcoin. If we do reach all the way down, and we just got a huge candle, and there's also a fair value gap there, which I like to hit entries on. If we do look at the RSI, we did have a huge divergence here. So there, compared to this divergence, that's why it's tanking so bad. And we can see we hit a top on market Cipher here too with another divergence. So it'll probably tank down further. So I'd be looking around this resistance area to possibly buy some more. Now SOL, another huge tank here, but we can basically do the same thing. So we're going to see this huge divergence on the RSI, right? And this is on the weekly time frame. So divergence, so we're still headed downward. We're bearish on the MACD, or turning bearish. We're still bullish. Could do a 50, maybe I'll hit the 50 mark and bounce back upward. But we do have a bear signal. I'm waiting to see what this does. If we move to the daily time frame, so we'll just check out the daily. But we are hitting an oversold point on the daily time frame here. So you can see this is getting a little oversold on MACD, oversold on market Cipher. So what I would really like to see on the daily time frame, you'll notice on market Cipher here, and this is completely free indicator. It's just another tool you guys can use to help with your analysis and TA and stuff like that. It's not always correct, right? It's an indicator, but it's another confluence you can use to help set prices. You want to buy it and sell it for yourself. It's one of these versions, either A or B. I forget which one, but yeah, you can test it out and it should pop up there. So you'll see here, there's these little bull guys. And they do have some pretty good pop-ups, even on the minute time frame for me. So you'll see this bull guy here, set to buy here. Basically, we're going to have a bull. And I'll minimize these here, but you'll see we have a bull, and it did shoot up, right, on that bull. Now this was only a little bit of a shoot up here, but there was a slight one. Bear, not too much, but we are in a bull run, so that's why you're going to have to be careful with these bears. Here's another bull flag, right? Here's the bull emoji. Shot up. Where's another one? Here's another bull emoji. Not a big shoot up, but a little bit, and then it went up further. And then here's another bull flag right here. So pay attention to this market Cipher. It's extremely helpful, especially if you're new to trading. So we can see this bull flag here, and if this does some sort of divergence on the RSI or anything, you could expect another bull run up like we saw here. So here was a divergence, and it shot up right after that. So I'd be watching for divergence, fair value gaps. The other thing I'd be taking a look at are the big resistance areas. Just draw a box around the tops of the candles to the bottoms about and see where they hit, match it up with your fib. So if we go ahead and I thought this was a big resistance area. I thought it might stop around here, but it looks like we're still going. So we could hit in the middle here around that $100 mark. And $100 is a pretty psychological point as well, right? So people may want to buy then once it hits that $100 mark. It's kind of like, 294, 300 we saw. Once it hits those psychological price levels, usually you want to be buying or selling. So I'd be looking around that $100 mark. If we do draw our fib each way, we can see, I'm just going to do this from this bottom here. So I'd probably be looking at, for the end of the year, I'd be looking around these ranges still. I would be accumulating now and looking around these areas to sell, 300 to 400. I still believe it's going to go up that high just because we did make a higher high and people are scared right now. The fear index, everyone's scared. And that's usually when smart traders will accumulate around that fear index and then it'll shoot back up. So it could be banks, could be whales, whoever you can think of. But if we also draw this just top to bottom here on Sol, we can see that 0.618 level at $120 is lining up pretty good with this resistance area. So you have a lot of resistance right here from the bottom of these wicks to the tops of these wicks. We also have a fair value gap right there. So we got two big fair value gaps you'll see in that green box. These two green boxes I'm talking about, which could be a good entry. So I'd be looking around that $120 mark, maybe even $100 in the middle of this. Like I said, it's a psychological level, but I do think we're going to continue to go up this year. I wouldn't be so scared. I do think we'll hit $300 to $400 by the end of this year. Could I be wrong? Most certainly. It's trading, so no one's always exactly right. We are also oversold here on the daily chart, so this could shoot back up. But the main things I'd be looking for is a divergence. Coming down to those resistance points, like right here, we might just bypass or maybe we'll go sideways during this whole area because there's so much resistance from here to here. So we could just stop at that 1.618 level and just have complete resistance there. And if I draw that fib again, my weird backwards way, I like to see where to take profits. But you'll see 375, 400 possibly if we take profit levels, if we're to draw it all the way to the bottom. That 0.382 lines up pretty good with that $120. And if we draw the fib the right way, just go all the way down, $118 there. So lots of resistance here, lots of resistance here. If we bypass this mark, we can see that. We can also draw a couple of trend lines here. I would love if we got a little bull guy, like I said, on that. That'd be a key indication for me to buy. But let's draw our trend lines. We had a retest, I think it was. Yeah. So we're having some retests on that trend line. So it's just continuing that downward momentum. And I will also show you guys one more cool little indicator. It's called the phases of the moon. So this literally goes by phases of the moon. I believe we have a new moon around March 14th or so. So I'd be paying attention to that. Each time one of these circles can be an indication to buy. So you'll see one here. Buy, and then here's your selling. This is where you sell post dark moon. Here's a buy, here's a sell, here's a buy, here's a sell, here's a buy, here's a sell. Lines up pretty good. I don't know about this one though, what happened here, but usually it lines up pretty good. Buy, sell. So the new moon is, I think, March 14th, so a couple weeks out, but I would pay attention to that as well. Once you get it, you can look for that buy signal as a new moon. New moon, buy, sell, new moon, buy, sell on the daily time frame. And then I'm looking for a little bull guy on market cipher down here. So the other thing I will share with you guys, pay attention to these dates here. And this is more based on the stock market, but it lines up pretty well of periods when to make money. It tells you periods of when to buy and when to sell, basically. So we can see 2023 here. which was, I think Bitcoin was at like 11,000 at its lowest in 2023, 11, 15,000, somewhere around there. I told you to buy there. And then shut up, could be right in the middle here, right? 2024. But you'll notice 2026 here is probably the line of where to sell at. Okay, that halfway point before we see another tank back downward in 2032, and then a full huge bull market to that 2035 area. So this is another kind of cycle sheet, I guess you could say, to look at. It does line up pretty well with the highs and lows of the stock market. If you take a look at these years here, I believe you can just look this up on Google Images. I'll paste it in my chat as well, but take a look at this too for more helpful information. So if you guys have questions on Solana's price, where you think it's going, please let me know. I could be totally off, but that's just kind of my general analysis and where I think we are headed.